Welcome, one and all, to the actuality. We're so glad that you decided to join us today. My name is Josh Wallace. I'm going to be the GM. I'm the one and only Count Zero ASL, and you can find me here. You can find me on Twitter at Josh Wallace, and on AngelsCitadel.com, where we do game reviews and advice columns. Although that's shifting up here with the whole streaming thing too. So yeah, we're gonna play a little bit of Invisible Sun, or maybe a lot of Invisible Sun, I guess it'd be, um, with myself running the game, and I have my four cast members here, all of whom are excellent people and good friends. Um, let's get started. I'm gonna have each of them introduce themselves. Let's get started with you, Kelton. Go ahead.
Hello, everybody. I'm Kelton. You can find me in most of the places on the internet as Fesnerax or Fesnerax the Fantastic. Josh, do you want me to introduce or say who I'm playing or not? Because it's a weird session.
Well, it's kind of a weird session. Let's hold off on that. I'm gonna have you guys introduce your
Okay.
characters in a little bit.
Okay, perfect.
All
Happy
right.
to be here.
We're happy to have you, Joanne. Okay, if push to talk works. Let's come back to her. Chris.
I'm Chris. You can find me as Synth both here on Angel Citadel and just pretty much everywhere else.
Okay. Jeff.
Hello, my name is Jeff Vaden. I am Jeffrey Boarding on Discord, and I'm excited to be sitting here with you guys today.
We're excited to have you. How we doing? You broke it. Okay. Well, the other player is my wife, my better half, and the angel of Angel Citadel, Joanne Wallace. And you can find her on Twitter at Joanne Wallace, as well as here and also on angelcitadel.com.
Is this working?
It is working. How you doing, huh?
If I have a meltdown and go off the grid, you'll know why.
No, you're not leaving me to do this by myself. It's not going to happen. All right. So I want to start today a little bit different than we're normally going to start. We're going to talk a little bit about what is Invisible Sun. Invisible Sun is a narrative role-playing game from Monty Cook Games. The characters are magic-wielding Visley, who have woken up from our world, known to them as the Shadow or the Gray Sun, and they've begun to pick up the pieces of their old lives in the actuality under the indigo sun. The actuality is something of a surreal mesh between things that we know or things that might be familiar to us and the absolutely bizarre and fantastic that you can only achieve with magic. If you think of a very odd magic filled 1920s vibe, you kind of get to Saturnine, where this campaign and this setting is essentially starting. Um, the game Invisible Sun is all about character and character-driven storytelling, and so as such, the character creation is of supreme importance, and it varies quite a bit um, from other games that I've played, that we've played and run. Um, there's a portion of character creation that it's similar. You do it individually. It's you build, kind of like a class and some skills and some attributes and things like that, that you do kind of by yourself. And then there's a portion of it that's done in a group, and that group activity is used to create the start of the narrative world that we'll be adventuring in. Now, if you want to see what happens for the individual parts, we did those as a group. Yeah, I know that sounds weird, but we did it anyway. And we recorded it for you. You can find that on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search up Angel Citadel, and you'll be able to see that portion of that character creation there. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to do the group portions. Start creating the neighborhoods that these characters live in, their houses, their basic associations with each other and with the people around them, and get kind of a sense of who they are, where they live, and what their environment's like. So let's go back through everybody here, and I'm going to have you introduce your characters, and if you could talk just a little bit about what those character sentences mean in very broad terms, that would be great. So, Kelton, why don't you get us started?
Absolutely. All right. I'll be playing Billy Burrows. He is a established empath of the Order of Weavers who plumbs the deeps of sleep. And I guess I should talk about. You want me to talk about each part of that a little
Yeah,
bit?
just briefly.
Okay. So established in that he's got some money, he's got some connections. He's an empath, which just basically means he's kind of in touch with the people around him and what they're going through and things like that. And he is a weaver, so they're sort of like the artists and jazz musicians of the Visley. Like everything that they do is kind of improv, and they weave together different concepts to create effects in the world. And he plumbs the deeps of sleep, which means he has a very deep connection to the part of the blue sun called the deeps of sleep. And right now, what that means is that he can bring things back with him from his dreams.
Excellent. Joanne, why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about your character sentence, and share a little bit about what that means.
All right, I am playing a character called Claire Thespin. She is a bizarre, gallant goetic who listens to whispers. Um, she's got a very fiery heart. Goetic means that she gets to summon demons, angels, and other kinds of things of unique nature. And basically, she can hear ghosts and talk to them and get extra knowledge or find out stuff that people don't want her to find out, which will be interesting because of the cast that we're playing with.
So yes, in Invisible Sun, we do not necessarily bust ghosts; we talk to them, and that's kind of a cool little thing. Chris, tell us about your character.
Sterling Price. My character is a itinerant empath, Vance, who splinters into fragments. As an empath, I'm not so much in tune with other people's emotions as I can't bottle them up. And it ends up expressing itself as the body literally splintering into multiple different pieces. As a Vance, most of them are pretty bookish. The classical wizards, even though nobody really uses that word anymore.
Very good. And last but not least, Jeff, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your character?
So I will be playing Albion J. Finch, who is pull this up, a bizarre empath of the Order of Makers who walks with a secret companion. He is someone who is part of an order of crafters. They craft everything from mundane items to profoundly magical items. And he walks with a secret companion because he has an invisible friend that no one else but him can see.
You see,
I'm
all
excited.
those years that we spent as kids playing with our invisible friends, those are going to pay off right here.
Right now.
And we got mocked for that. You know what I mean? All right, so we're going to get started here. Let's talk a little bit about foundation. Um, we've included those as part of our character sentence already, but I want to go into just what that means because we didn't do it in the recorded session, and then we can talk a little bit about how that's going to affect how you start off. So, Kelton, you said that you were an established empath weaver. So established, you have a home of your own and are connected to others. This is the most common foundation among Vislay. It means you have a 50 crystal orb income every month, and you have 100 crystal orbs in savings. So you've got a bit of a savings account. You start off with 10 hidden knowledge. That's a lot of hidden knowledge. You have a prominent, a large, or a unique level 3 house with 2 levels of connections. So we'll need to get those connections nailed down. You have 1 house augment of level 3 or lower. So let's talk about what are you thinking for your house?
So, Billy lives in an unexploded ordnance. Um, it's basically a big bomb stuck in the side of a large wall on the edge of Satyrine. There's nothing inside it, of course, except for his house.
So you're in the side of Satyrine or in the side of Fartown?
Fartown, sorry. Yep, Fartown.
Okay. So Fartown is a district inside Satyrine where most Vislay live. It's actually not in Satyrine, it's a half dimension. And it was created because people in Satyrine that aren't Vislay, that don't use magic, are a little bit leery of the kinds of things that those weird wizards get up to. They experiment and they try new magic and things like that. And most people don't want to walk around with purple skin for a year because some Vislay screwed up the ingredients list on their last potion. So we're going to drop them in a half dimension and just kind of forget about them a little bit. It doesn't really work, but they like to think that it did. So this unexploded ordnance, I'm assuming this was probably from the war. Is that where you're headed with that? Okay, and this is probably not one of the hate cysts from that war. This is something else.
Something else.
Something probably more mundane.
Yeah, it literally looks like a big World War II kind of bomb, except huge, like ridiculously oversized.
A massive bomb casing.
Massive
Oh,
bomb casing stuck
okay.
into like a large wall, and it sort of just like creak all the time.
I'm all right with that. So
Yep, I live in a haunted bomb.
You live in a haunted bomb. That's fantastic.
Yep. Invisible sun.
So you have a house augment of level 3 or lower. Have you thought about that one? Or do I need to give you more time?
I have thought about that one, and I just kind of wanted to oh gosh, I can't remember what it's called now. There's one where here we go. Shoot. Oh, that's level 4. Boy, there aren't very many of those.
You want to think about it some? We come back to it?
Yeah, I'm gonna think about it because the one that I thought existed is too high level. So
Fair enough. So let's talk about your connections. You have 2 levels of connections. Those can be split between 2 connections at level 1 or 1 at level 2. What are you thinking?
I'm gonna pump those both into the Dreamery.
Why don't you go ahead and tell us what the Dreamery is?
So the Dreamery is a few things. It's one of the, I guess you'd say, best and largest libraries in Saturnine. It is a place where the organization of the Dreamery studies dreams and how dreams function. It resembles like a large. It has like the vibe of kind of a large monastery slash library. There's a lot of meditation and um, study, basically. And Billy has a lot of things that he is trying to understand about himself regarding dreams. So since he's returned to Saturnine, he's spent a great deal of time there.
Wonderful. I love it. So we'll come back and talk about your house augment if you have it, or if you don't, we can wait until after we've gone through. Let's go over to Joanne. And Joanne, let's talk about yours. You are a bizarre gallant goetic. As bizarre, you have a reputation for being strange. Imagine that. And having a very strange house. At least that's what people say. So you have no connections. Um, your income is 30 crystal orbs every month. You have initial savings of 70 crystal orbs. You also have a hidden knowledge of 10 with a prominent or unique level 4 house. You have 1 house augment of level 4 or lower. So let's talk about your house. What do you think your house is going to be?
All right, but you can't laugh. All right.
I'm not going to promise that.
Well, so I'm thinking that my house is actually an old theater. Like if you've seen The Count of Monte Cristo, or what was that other one?
You mean
Phantom of the Opera.
Phantom of the Opera?
Yes, if you've seen Phantom of the Opera, I'm thinking my house is an old opera house. And I live in the rafters.
That fits with what I know about your character. Okay. So you're in the is it an active opera house, or is it something that no one goes to anymore?
It's something that no one goes to anymore because it's believed to be haunted, which it is. I'm thinking it's very much a haunted house of hauntingness.
So we've got ghosts that go around. Do they sing? Are they?
Yes, I'm thinking we've got like former opera ghosts, former actors that died in mysterious and odd ways, and now they just kind of haunt the opera house, trying to regain their former fame without actually having to go to the Pale.
That's fantastic. I love it. All right. As far as house augments go, I believe you said that you were still working on that. So let's give you some time to figure that out. Uh, you have no connections, so you don't have to worry about that. And we're going to do character arcs in just a bit. So Chris, you're up next. You are a itinerant empathic van. As an itinerant, you have no permanent domicile, but you do have connections to others in Saturnine. You have an income of 40 crystal orbs per month. You have 120 crystal orbs in your savings. You have 15 hidden knowledge and no house. Talk to me about that. Where do you live?
I live usually with this will come up in the connections. With another member of the Brotherhood I'm a part of. Or I'll live on campus if it's like a crunch week.
Okay. So let's talk about your connections. You've got 2 levels of connections. You can split those 1 and 1, or you can put those both into the same connection. What are you thinking about doing?
Uh, for one of my connections, the first one is with the Brotherhood of the Infinite Rose.
The Brotherhood of the Infinite Rose, like the flower rose, R-O-S-E.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And who are they and what do they do?
The Brotherhood of the Infinite Rose is a sort of exploration and sightseeing group. They were mostly formed advances, but they've recently started to allow other people to branch out if they know of it. It's like a secret society, and they live by 4 tenets: preserve beauty, show courage, maintain secrecy, and revere everything under the invisible sun.
Okay. So that's one connection. What's the other one?
Connections are only with organizations, right? Not with people.
No, I believe you can do connections with people as well.
I will take a connection with Phineas then.
Yes, you can take connections with people.
I will take a connection with Phineas.
I'm not going to ask how to spell that because I already know. So talk to us about Phineas. Who is Phineas?
Phineas is this really sort of pompous guy who knows deep within himself he's important to something, but it is not obvious to anybody else. Nobody else can see it in him. He is a fellow Vance and potentially a fellow member of the Infinite Rose. He dresses in these bright red robes and has this fancy, like, feather crown that he wears all the time. And he has a follower.
He does. Tell us about this follower.
His follower is the Herald, the only person who sees it in him. He provides double duty as a mailbox for whatever domicile Phineas lives in at the moment. And he is a signal booster. He will shout to the entire world about how great Phineas is. He is a bronze elf statue that wears only golden boxers. And he's got wind chimes under his arms.
A bronze statue with wind chimes under his arms that wears gold boxers. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why Invisible Sun is the greatest game ever. Let me tell you. You can't find this anywhere else. You really can't. So yeah, we've got let's see, the Brotherhood and the Infinite Rose and Phineas as a level 1 connection. the other thing, let's see, with itinerant, you start with one level in the disguising, surviving, or sneaking skill, and you start with a free secret or spell of level 2 or lower. Have you picked those or no?
I have.
Awesome. Talk to us about what you got.
I took sneaking. No real specific reason on that one. It just felt right. And for my secret, I took Spider Whisper.
Ooh, tell us what that one does.
I can speak to spiders, and I know a lot about their sort of subculture. So I get a +2 whenever I am persuading a spider to help.
So, for those of you that haven't heard of Invisible Sun or played it or anything like that or aren't familiar, spiders are kind of a big thing in Invisible Sun. You're going to see that come out in the narrative a little bit. I've got some interesting plans for spiders, but they're most people look at them as creepy crawlies in Saturnine and in the lands under the suns. They're a lot more than that. There's some really interesting lore about spiders that you're going to find. So excellent. I love it. Last but absolutely certainly not least, Jeff, let's talk about Albion. He is a bizarre empathic maker. We've already kind of done bizarre once. Let's talk about it, how it relates to you though. You have 30 crystal orbs per month as an income with a 70 crystal orb initial savings account. You have 10 hidden knowledge. Your house is prominent or unique, and it's level 4. You have no initial connections. So talk to me about your house. Where does Albion live with his invisible friend?
Well, when Albion was pulled from Shadow, he happened to be on the Douglas C-47 Skytrain that he maintained. He was the mechanic for the flight crew in World War II. The Skytrain came along with him, and not having anywhere else to put it, the Hindasa just kind of stranded it on the periphery of the Fade, in the Fade district of Saturnine. And so his home is a C-47 Skytrain in the Fade district. And it is level 4, and his level 4 house augment is a conjuring kitchen because he does love to entertain.
So you'll notice I'm taking a couple of seconds here as you talk. If you're watching, I'm taking notes in my guiding hand of some of this stuff because what's going to happen is we're going to use this to weave a narrative. The background that the characters give and the house and everything, it's very important. And since this game is about these characters and them rebuilding their lives, the things that they use to rebuild their lives, their houses, their neighbors, their connections, their hopes and dreams are important to know. And so I'm keeping track of those as well. So you have it's C-47 or C-147?
E-47, it's a
C-47.
Douglas C-47 Skytrain.
Okay. So let's see here. Yeah, we're gonna get to got the augment. We're gonna get character arcs in a minute. Let's go back to Kelton. Kelton, how are you doing on your augment?
Yeah, I picked one that's an appropriate level, which is animate bric-a-brac. So, the bits and bobs that are scattered around my house sort of move at my bidding.
Interesting. Okay. So inside the unexploded ordnance, we have stuff that moves of its own will. That's kind of cool. I can picture like bits and pieces of screws and springs and stuff that was inside this ordnance that got cleared out and just kind of left in the dust or whatever. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, it's I think it adds to the haunted bomb feel that
Yeah.
things are moving around.
This is going to be a really interesting. We've got a ghost theater, a haunted bomb, a World War II plane, and a homeless guy that
Yeah.
lives with his buddy, who is the awesomest person in Saturnine, even if nobody knows. All right. So then we still have Joanne. You've got your augment to do.
Yes, I do. And I have it, even though somebody sort of already stole my idea. So I'm going to switch it because instead of having animated furniture, because I thought that would be hilarious in a haunted theater, because it would. We know it would. I am going to go with a thought form valet.
A thought form valet. Okay, so we've got ghosts that are putting on plays in this theater with a non-real entity guiding people to their seats. Maybe other ghosts, maybe, okay. That fits.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I'm in.
He also keeps the house tidy, and he cooks for me and keeps track of my things and then helps me dress, because how else am I going to get into those tight corsets?
Also fair. Those are not very fun to get into. Okay, so that takes care of our, let's see here. That takes care of our foundation. Shadow skills. So most of our Vislay, actually all of our player characters, spent time in the shadow, and when they returned to the actuality, they brought something back with them. So all Vislay retain a shadow skill and a shadow memento. I'm assuming, but maybe not. That yes, I am. That your C37 is your shadow memento. Is that correct, Jeff? C47, sorry.
Yes. Yes.
I've never really thought of a
Is
plane being a shadow memento, but I guess if you look in the fiction, there's that one dude that they talk about that had a car.
Mhm.
So, that kind of fits. Okay, sure. Let's see. Other shadow mementos. Kelton, what do you have?
I have my trumpet.
Yep. The 1920s trumpet.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
And skill the same. Musician is what I put as the skill.
Excellent. Jeff, what's your skill? I'm assuming airplane mechanic or something like that?
engineering.
Engineering? Okay, that makes
Mhm.
sense. Joanne, shadow memento and shadow skill.
All right, so my shadow memento is 2 pieces, not just one. It is a pair of theater masks, the happy and sad theater masks.
Oh, yeah, sure. The porcelain ones?
Yes. And I decided to go for something weird for my shadow skill. She knits.
That's interesting. Okay. Chris, how about you?
My shadow memento is going to be a marble. One of the larger marbles, maybe like that big, maybe a bit bigger, with an infinity symbol inside of it.
So the shooters?
Yeah.
Yep. And your shadow skill?
My shadow skill is mathematics.
Interesting.
My
Okay.
character was a math teacher.
Nice. So you're the one I have to call to help with my homework. Okay, awesome. Next up, we have quirks. So Vislay are odd and varied creatures. The magic within them manifests in strange ways. Most people call these quirks. Quirks are neither advantages nor disadvantages, and if they occur at random times, you never have control over them. They're just unique aspects that mark a Vislay. So let's talk about quirks that these characters have. Kelton, what are you thinking?
Billy is a quirky fellow. Besides I guess I didn't think of this as a quirk initially, but he does appear in black and white at all times. But the quirks that I wrote down for him, every now and then he accidentally has someone else's dream. Also, every now and then he will just kind of nod off, and sometimes some of the things in his dreams will start manifesting in the actuality if someone is like watching him sleep or is near him.
So is that like
And
narcolepsy?
wherever,
Or?
kind of, yeah. But and then he'll instantly be dreaming, and like the things from his dreams will, like little creatures might be wandering around or whatever. Would be a good sooth card situation. And then wherever he is, he can always see a moth.
All right. Joanne.
So I kind of wanted to do 2 quirks.
Go for it.
All right, so one, my hair is silver, and I don't mean not just in color, but literally very thin strands of metal. But my hair also grows fast. So periodically, when I cut my hair, I've got lots of thin strands of metal. And I have to cut my hair every like 3 to 4 days.
That would be irritating. I don't know what to tell you.
I think it'd be funny. And then I could knit it into silver hair shirts.
Give one to Bilbo Baggins on his way to Moria. Okay. Chris.
So I'll also take 2 quirks since that seems to be where we're going. I can smell silver, funnily enough, as if it were as potent as garlic. It's not that smell, but it's just this really strong scent to me.
So my hair is going to drive you nuts.
Probably. Oh, you'll never be able to sneak up on me.
Okay, so that's that one.
And then at 6:42 p.m., if I'm outside, for a brief moment, my shadow grows to an infinite size. Only for a second, and only if I'm outside at that time.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, these are all weird things. I think my favorite in this list is I'm allergic to 3:57 p.m. I always sneeze at that time. I think I picked that one for every Visley I've made because it's just so funny. Jeff, what do you got?
So, uh, one of them is not exactly a quirk, so much as a bad habit of my, well, a habit of my invisible friend, who who is a bit of a trickster, and so anytime someone around me is rude to the help, or just unnecessarily cruel to someone that they hold power over, my friend tends to play little tricks on them. So sometimes a wealthy jerk might find that his wallet's gone missing, while the waiters find that they have a larger than usual pile of orbs in the tip jar, etc. Um, and the more personal quirk I'd like to take is that dogs love me. Dogs just seem to gravitate toward Albion, and he likes dogs.
Albion is a dog's best friend.
I mean, his best friend is a fox, but yes.
All right, I like it. I like it a lot. So let's look at NPC bonds now. A character can have from 0 to 3 NPC bonds when the game begins. Thereafter, they cost 1 acumen each. So, Kelton, who or whom would you like to have a bond with as Billy Burrows?
Did you say PC or NPC?
NPC. We're gonna get to PC later.
Oh, okay. I didn't think about that. Probably. Uh, okay, definitely. So he plays dive bars and things like that, and I think somewhere in his neighborhood, there's like a cut rate speakeasy. I'm gonna go ahead and call it the Blind Pig, and they're known for their extremely pretentious drinks. Um, and I think he has a connection with the owner of that place, who is like a penny pinching centipede with a human head, and he plays there a lot. That's where his income comes from, is playing shows. So I'll do that as my connection.
Okay, he is going to be named Atterax, Atterax. And is this an associate, a contact, a friend, an old friend? I'm presuming it's not a lover, but whatever. I don't judge. And or is it a relative? Hey, there you go.
Oh boy. I guess it would either associate or contact. He has a lot of connections, so he is one of the main ways I get gigs at his place and other places that I play at. So
So that sounds more like a contact than associate, probably.
yeah.
Okay. Do you just want to go with one, or do you want to take a stab at some more?
He has one more, and this would be a friend. And the name of this person is Fesnerax, the Fantastic. This is where my namesake came from. So Fesnerax is a Vizsla who believes that he invented all of existence, invented the actuality and everything under all of the suns. He's nuts. He's homeless. He wears like a wizard hat and a tattered old bathrobe. And he pushes around like a shopping cart, mostly full of potions, because he can't get drunk off of alcohol, but he does get drunk off of potions. So he wears a little coffee maker around his neck that he brought from Shadow, and uses that to brew like magical things. And he's nuts.
Interesting.
friends.
I love it. They're friends. Okay. Joanne.
I think I'm gonna have 2 NPC bonds.
Okay, hit me.
All right, the first NPC bond is a vodka ant.
I'm sorry, a what?
A vodka ant. So basically, she's an ant, which is, the sister to my mother, who pops in on
Oh.
occasionally, visits, always has the greatest stories to tell, drinks me out of house and home, and then vanishes again, leaving a few orbs behind.
Okay. I thought so with Invisible Sun, not only are spiders important, ants are as well, like the eight-legged ant creatures, right? So when you said vodka ant, I'm thinking this tiny little ant that's carrying around vodka somehow and maybe getting drunk, and I'm not quite sure where you're going with this, but okay, tell me more.
No, vodka ant is an AUNT.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Of course, now I'm picturing a little ant running around carrying around one of those little airplane bottles of vodka.
I got to put up with these Visla again. Okay, so you have vodka ant that comes that drinks you out of house and home and tells great stories and leaves some orbs as payment for the alcohol that you drink, and doesn't nearly cover the amount. What is vodka ant's name?
I don't know. You're the GM. You're supposed to name people.
Okay, I'll name him. Fine, whatever. Unless one of you guys has a great idea.
Crickets.
No? Okay.
Uh,
Her
I
name
was gonna
is
say Clarice.
okay.
Everybody
Clarice,
needs an Aunt Clarice.
an Aunt Clarice. I like that. Okay, Aunt Clarice. Um, Aunt Clarice de Barbarac.
Sure. She's the one we don't talk about at family parties.
Okay, so we have one vodka ant. That's going to be a relative. And then what is your second one?
My second one is going to be an old friend.
Okay, tell me about this old friend.
Okay, so his name is Mickey D. He's a former musician slash boyfriend that decided to chase better things before the war, and then we occasionally talk now that I'm back from the shadows. But he's still an a-hole.
Okay. So we've got the ex-boyfriend vibe. There we go. Chris. let's talk about NPC connections. What are you thinking?
My first connection is going to be an old friend. Its name is W, like the letter. It used to have a full name, but it got banned at some point after the war. And it's a spider. He usually stays in just somewhere on the Vancian College.
So was you said the full name was banned, and so he's just W now. Was his name the one that was banned, like because of something he did, or was it somebody else that shared that name that had their name banned?
It could be both.
Okay. So I get to decide. That's even better. So that's one. What else you got?
The leader of the Brotherhood of the Infinite Rose is an associate. I helped him found the Brotherhood, but after that I sort of stepped back and let him take it wherever he wanted. I just helped to get like people connected into it. I do not have a name for him.
His name is Elaric. Elaric.
And I'll take my third one. It makes sense since I'm itinerant. Uh, my mother is a teacher at the Vance College. She works with mainly fourth degree Vances.
And her name is Bettany Price. Bettany.
And that's my three.
Awesome. Jeff, what do you got for me?
Let's see. I have Findris Finch. He is a relative. He is Albion's cousin. He is a zealot speaker who works at the Celestial Bazaar running a merchant booth. And Albion frequently, when he wants to sell his wares, will give them to Findris to sell on consignment. And so that's a relative.
All right.
Let's see. And then Cassida, Cassideh. Cassida is a fellow maker who is an associate. Albion and Cassida have known and liked each other for years. Cassida's specialty as a maker is magical baked goods. And just an established lore NPC bond. A friend with Zero, because that's where he hangs out, like constantly drinking and trying to make new friends.
So we have someone that's the friend of a bar. That's fantastic. I love that the implications of that.
Well,
All right, so let's talk character arcs. This is the nitty gritty of Invisible Sun. Um, as much as I like to think that I help guide narrative, realistically, most of it comes from these guys. Character arcs are designed to help promote character interaction and character goals and things for them to do inside the story. So let's talk about what you think you want to do starting out, because every Visley gets one character arc for free. Kelton.
Right. I think, and we can spitball this a little bit. I think that I would call it mysterious background. The thing is, Billy's entire life in Shadow, he had night terrors, he had sleep paralysis, and he had dreams in which he was aware of the actuality, was aware of Saturnine. And largely for these reasons, he was committed multiple times in his life. He spent a lot of time in some pretty dire situations in an asylum because he believed that Shadow was Shadow. Now, he hasn't met any other Visley who has an experience like that. Then there are Visley who don't really remember Shadow. There are people who remember it very well, but he's never met anybody who kind of got here the way that he did, which was he also got here through dreams. So I think he wants to investigate that because he doesn't understand how that's possible or what the implications of it would be.
So how did he get to the actuality through dreams, and what does it mean?
And why was I think mostly like why was he aware of the actuality when he was in Shadow? Because you're sort of not supposed to be. Like he firmly believed that Shadow was fake, and that he could only access the real world in his dreams.
Interesting. Okay. I like this. I can work with that. Joanne.
All right, so looking at all the arcs, I think the closest to what my character wants to do is going to be finish a great work. Basically, her goal is to bring her theater house back to life. To bring people and get them in the seats and watching the plays again, and bring back ancient plays from before the war.
Bring the theater house back to life. Bring back ancient pre-war plays.
Yes.
Excellent. Chris.
Sterling is trying to learn the meaning of infinity. It's plagued him since he was in Shadow, and ever since he return to the actuality, he's become obsessed with the concept of infinity.
Okay. So we're going to learn the meaning of infinity. I can do that. Jeff, what are you thinking?
So many options. I could see him being interested in learning new skills. He was by trade an alchemist before the war, and that's really the only maker skill that he has. So learning to branch into other kinds of fields could be something that he's interested in. I don't know that that sounds like a very exciting starting arc, though. I was also
Well,
thinking
it
about.
depends on the field, right? So, I mean, what kinds of fields would he be interested in branching into?
I could see him being interested in learning how to knit from certain party members, um, or just in general learning how to, you know, do glass work to make himself a really fancy set of alchemy tools or things like that. I was also thinking, I mean, classic alchemy. Maybe he's just really looking to figure out what, he's trying to discover the secret of this philosopher's stone.
That could be really fun. Um,
I mean, I know I want that to be something that he pursues at some point. Maybe that's just what he's looking for to at the get-go. Finish a great work. Yeah. So yeah, maybe finish a great work. He is trying to build on the accumulated knowledge of alchemists and uh, sift through, lost libraries and learn the secret of the philosopher's stone. That sounds good.
all right, so we're going to use alchemy to create or learn the secrets of the philosopher's stone. Awesome. All right. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to talk about the next steps here, and then we're going to take a short break, just another 10-minute break or so, and use the restroom, things like that. And then when we come back, we'll finish out character creation. So the next things that are going to happen, we're going to start talking about the neighborhoods that these characters live in, and we're going to talk about the neighbors, the people that live there. Nearby points of interest, some local issues, some PC bonds, so bonds between our player characters. We're going to skip ephemera for right now. We'll do that offline. But by the time we come back, those characters will have the ephemera that they need. And then we're going to come up with a group goal. Thank you, Monty Cook. This is another term that doesn't actually mean anything to anybody when you say it, but the desideratum, the group goal, the thing that drives these characters and that's going to push them towards greatness. So let's go ahead and take a quick 10-minute break, and when we come back, we'll be finishing out the group portion of character creation, and then if we've got some time left over, we can get started talking. And if not, we'll push it for 2 weeks. But thanks for hanging with us so far, and we'll see you in just a few minutes. Welcome back, friends, countrymen, supporters, Visley, whatever you are. We want you here. We're glad you're here. We are getting ready to finish out character creation for our friends, my cast members, the wonderful, poor, confused souls that they are, for participating in one of my games. In Invisible Sun. And so we have created characters, we've gotten them houses, some wild houses, um, with some wild things going on in them. And we're ready to start talking about the places where they live. So let's think about neighbors. I'm going to go ahead and I think what we're going to do is as we go around, um, in each case, I'm going to have everybody suggest a neighbor for that individual, and then that individual can pick the two ideas that they like the best, and that'll be the neighbor on your right and the neighbor on your left, right? And also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have each player pick out a peculiarity about your house. So something odd about its construction, something odd about, um, every third step you take in the house, no matter where it is, creaks or something like that, right? So go ahead and let's start with Kelton, and we'll talk about his unexploded bomb fragment that he lives in. Kelton, go ahead and suggest a neighbor, and then we'll just go around the room and have everybody suggest an interesting neighbor for Kelton.
Since the bomb is like in a really really tall wall, it's up fairly high. I was thinking maybe like I have a nosy sort of um, busybody kind of neighbor who is a sentient vine growing out of the wall, who's always trying to like look in the windows and like gossip and be irritating. And I believe if she exists, her name would be Virginia.
Virginia the sentient vine, an import from the green. Okay.
The joke is Virginia Creeper.
Virginia. Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. Okay.
Probably Virginia S Creeper.
Virginia S. Creeper. All right, Joanne, idea for Barney's neighbor, Billy Burrows.
Well, I was kind of thinking about that. Mine is obviously not as intriguing as the Virginia Creeper, but I was thinking that across the street, because he's in a wall, instead of being next to him, like across the street, there is a wizard's tower where the staircase is on the outside of the tower.
Okay. So tell me about the wizard that lived there.
His name is Bobby. He
Okay.
is Bobby Joe Bentley.
Bobby Joe Bentley. Okay.
And he is a Visley who likes to, and the reason why his tower is actually a tower, it started off our house, but he had an experiment go wrong, and then the entire thing shot up like 100 feet.
Okay, so the tower grew on its own, and the staircase is outside the tower. Okay. Chris.
Ooh, okay. This is kind of a dangerous neighbor. He likes to set off fireworks all the time. Um, Nobody can tell what his name is, so they call him Pyro. Whenever he talks, it sounds like this, even though he's not covering his mouth or that he has anything impeding it. It just sounds muffled. Um, Behind him, like maybe every 10th step, a fireball just kind of shoots out of the ground.
All right. I like it. Jeff?
Mm. I was thinking maybe the building that the ordinance is stuck in has a tenant who is a kind of down on his luck stand-up comedian who left his life as a Vance behind to pursue stand-up comedy. Now he's just an apostate who likes to make observational humor and is doing very poorly at it.
An apostate jazz music, or an apostate stand-up comedian, and a 1920s jazz musician. This
That has to happen.
that
There's
has to
no way
happen.
around
I'm
it.
sorry.
Your house
All right.
is the bomb.
Okay, so we have a former Vance, now apostate, stand-up comic, and his name is what?
Jude something? I don't know.
I'm
What
sorry,
did you
what
say?
was it again?
Jude something? I don't know. Can't think of a good name right now.
I'd say Jude Law, but he's not funny at all.
Yeah.
Jude,
Jude Starling?
Jude Starlin?
I just like bird last names, obviously.
Starling is kind of not. I like that. Let's do that. Jude
Go
Starling.
with it? I'm good with it. And then I think I have to go with Virginia. It's just too funny. A talking vine.
All right. Let's see. Joanne, outside your ghostly theater, or maybe underneath it. Give me an idea.
I'm thinking I live next to the Rat King.
The Rat King.
Yes. He is a Pied Piper who summons rats on a regular basis and dances around and occasionally tries to invade my theater to give a concert on the stage with his rat dancers.
His rat dancers.
Yes.
Okay. Do they? I mean, do they sing too?
No, they just dance. He
They just
plays
dance.
and they dance and yeah.
So like ballerina rats.
Yes, with little tutus. And
Okay,
dance arts.
that works. Because why not? Kelton, what do you think?
I think so the ghosts that spirits or whatever that haunt the place still put on performances. So I think it would be funny if you had like something like loud and obnoxious next to you, like a machine shop or something like that. So that the ghost performances could be rudely interrupted by the sounds coming from it, and that they would have something hilarious to complain about, and maybe owned by um, I don't know, some big burly pig man.
Big burly pig man.
Yes, who's just extremely rude.
Okay.
Can it be a maker?
A
Definitely.
big
His like
burly
big
pigman.
workshop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Things like often explode, and like there's yeah.
He's a
Very
klutz. He's
grumpy.
constantly dropping heavy metal and
Mm-hmm.
okay. I'm all right with that. Chris, what do you got?
A quiet group of nuns that just kind of hang out in the basement. They're actually all a collective, so when you try to refer to them, they all like to be referred to as the same person. It's this group of 5 or 6 people. They'll put on some like more operatic shows in the theater sometimes. And they all dress in uh bright purple.
So are they friendly with the ghosts, or do they have to kind of like shoo them off stage to be able to put their performances on?
They're friendly.
Jeff, what do you think?
I was thinking about maybe a non-musician ghost, like the ghost of the of someone who was like building the opera house, who got, who fell into the foundation, and who's buried there and is just not a lover of the arts.
So he's buried there, he's stuck there, and he can't stand opera or plays or
Yeah,
anything like
he
that. He's
was
stuck
he
listening
was
to them
just
for
like
eternity.
he was just a worker. He did not care for the kind of work that he was doing. He just built what he was building, and he got stuck in the foundation of this opera house and has been haunting it ever since.
So that kind of makes me think of the maker next door. He's just doing his thing, but the other guy's actively trying to break up these performances because he can't stand them and he can't stand being stuck there. All right, Joanne, you got 4 ideas. What do you think? Or do you want to go with the fifth one?
Well, okay, so 2 of the ideas were technically living inside the theater.
Okay.
So why can't I have all 5?
Because I only have so much space in my notebook. Ha ha ha.
So add more space? All right, I want the 2 that are living in and the metal man, and then I'll have the Ghostbuster.
Okay, so we're going to include the 2 that are living in as
We'll add them as quirks to
as
the.
quirks to the theater, yeah. And then so we've got the pig guy next door, the maker. Let's give him a name. Kelton,
Puccino.
spell that for me.
Puccino.
Right.
Great name.
And then the go ahead and explain yours.
Oh, the idea I had of the Ghostbuster living next door, trying to bust my ghost and send him to hell. So it's your fault.
So we'd talked about the potential of a character at one point that was like a Ghostbuster, but think of it more like Saturnine INS. So you have ghosts from the Pale that are in Saturnine that have permission to be there, and then there's the ghosts that don't have permission and don't have the correct papers. And so this Ghostbuster or Ghostbusters deports them back to the Pale because they don't have the correct paperwork and they circumvented the bureaucracy. So
Can he please wear a shabby tweed suit and be named Wesley? I don't know why. It just
absolutely.
Sure. I was debating between Wesley or Winston.
they're both good.
But he has to wear a black kerchief on his head.
Okay, so I have a black kerchief on his head, a shabby tweed suit. His name is Wesley, and he's a Ghostbuster. Saturnine INS. Okay, wonderful. So, Chris, you're up.
All right.
This ought to be interesting since you don't have a house. How are we going to do neighbors for you?
Members of the Vance College.
Wonderful. Hit me.
Somehow a lacuna got admission to the college. Its name is, I don't have a name for it actually. It leads to a beach in the middle of the Alone.
Okay. I like that.
Nobody is sure how it got into the college. It's not a Visley, pretty sure. And it's a lacuna.
So it's a member of the Vancian College, but it's not a Vance. It's not a Visley. Sure, why not? Kelton, what do you got?
Okay, so it's a friendly, at least to you, wrong cat who is not supposed to be on the Vancian campus or in the library at all. Randomly knows where a lot of the books are. Only you know about this wrong cat because it's not supposed to be there. And its name is Meowlity.
Meowlity. I love it. Joanne, what do you got?
I think our lovely Vance, who's homeless, has an angel following him around.
Ooh, tell me about the angel.
It's an angel who has one wing that is entirely black and white, like half white at the top, black at the bottom, and then the other one is a kaleidoscope of rainbows.
Okay, and they're following him around. Why?
Because they're nosy and he intrigues them.
All right. Jeff?
So I have there's an NPC in another game I play named Newly, who is a semi-retired Vance. She occasionally lectures at the campus, and she lives on campus and is just like a sweet grandmotherly woman that just takes charity cases under her wing. She has a soft heart for the underdogs, and she's always bringing people, you know, thermoses of tea and baked goods, and bandaging them up whenever they come back from a particularly rough adventure.
Thermoses of tea. I love it. All right, Chris, you got 4 ideas. What are you thinking?
I'm gonna go with the cat. The wrong cat.
Good choice.
That one's way too good.
So that
And
was Meowlity?
Yep.
yeah,
Meowlity.
Meowlity. And then while the idea of a lacuna at the college is interesting. I think I'm gonna go with the lady who brings tea and other such things to the college. Did you have a name for her?
Yes, her name is Newly.
Okay.
Nooly. Newly.
Yeah, I can't pass up free food or tea, so
I think that just suits your character very well. It's a good compliment to your to what I know about your character. So good choice.
Writing as fast as I can, guys. Honest. Jeff, you're up.
Okay. I would like to hear what everyone else has to say.
Ooh, bucking the mold. Okay. Let's go. You know what? Let's go in reverse this time, just cause. Chris, let's start with you.
next to you is
In his massive C-37.
yep. Um
Parked on the
Mugsy
shores of the
Stallone.
Fade.
Mugsy Stallone. He is a classic 30s, 40s gangster, bright white pinstripe suit, completely kept nice slicked back hair, late 30s, and he's just this grouchy guy. He is pretty temperamental, and he is known for just shooting people out of nowhere. But he seems cordial with you for now.
Operative words there for now. Okay, Joanne.
He has a name. I'm going to suggest that he has a neighbor named Oscar Wilde, Wild, who lives in a house that rests upon a massive balloon, kind of like an upside down Zephyr.
It rests on top of the balloon.
Yes. So, like,
Okay.
instead of the Zephyr with the balloon and then the thing, it's upside down.
Okay. And do you have to use magic to get up there, or does he have like a ladder or something?
He's got a ladder, but it floats up too. So yes, to get up there, you have to use magic.
So you've got to be a Vistla and you've got to be able to fly.
Yes.
I wonder what he knows that he doesn't talk to people about. That's kind of interesting. Okay. See, the great thing about this is I get to use all the ideas you guys don't if I want. You know? So we've got Mugsy Stallone, we've got Oscar Wilde and his upside down Zeppelin kind of thing. Kelton, what do you got?
Okay, I don't know about you guys, but for this neighborhood, since you live in a plane, I automatically started picturing like almost a junkyard. Like this is apparently the Hendasa put whatever weird random objects they don't know what to do with. So there's like buses and obviously an upside down Zephyr. And I think like living in some sort of vehicle or something next to your house is a colony of ant gossips who are also have been known to eat people that offend them. And they are a collective known as the Anthropophagi.
Okay, that's a new one. I like that. Jeff, it's your turn now, man. You got no one else to go before you.
I think I'd like to go with Mugsy and Oscar, and maybe keep the Ant Collective in my back pocket for the rumor or occurrence that's going on in the neighborhood.
All right.
A mystery to solve.
I'm in. That works. Stick that under local issues then.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see here. Let me write this down. Okay. So next we're going to talk about some nearby points of interest. Let's go ahead and just as you have something, let's come up with about 3 points of interest in the neighborhood and things that you can see when you go there. And yeah, go ahead and go. Let's start with the unexploded bomb. So what's around there?
The only note I made on this was a bookstore underneath, down on the ground floor, called a store of books, that is owned by Adam Wolf. I don't know who that is.
Okay,
But I do know that
that's
he
one.
signs his name A. Wolf.
Anybody else?
Well, you know, with this talk about having the Virginia creeper, I could totally see there being a garden shop nearby with a woman that can speak with plants, and that's why the creeper's so nosy. And what she does is sells plants all over Saturnine to get the latest gossip from everybody.
That's fantastic.
And she's simply called the Crow.
I like it. I like it because that's potential for hidden knowledge there. That's some good stuff. All right. Anybody else? Any burning ideas?
A music shop that sells negative instruments.
Okay, what is a negative instrument?
An instrument that is negative. It's, I don't, yeah. Like the colors reversed, the sounds are reversed. It's probably put together
Does it
backwards.
absorb music?
No, it doesn't. It just produces. It produces just different kinds of sounds.
Are you talking about like canceling out the sine wave of a music or of a note?
Maybe it would. It probably would. If you played two at the same time.
So
Or
if you played a
one
real
and a normal one.
instrument and a negative instrument, the same fingering, the same note, whatever, at the same time, one would play the note and the other one would play the sound that cancels that note.
Yeah.
And so you wouldn't hear anything.
Yeah, you only hear if one of them are playing or if they're playing something different.
Oh, that's weird. I kind of like that. That's cool. All right, so that's Billy's neighborhood. Let's talk about Claire's neighborhood. What kind of points of interest do we have there?
I think in Claire's neighborhood, every good neighborhood needs a park, right? Maybe there's a park. What part of town in what part of Saturnine does Claire live in?
I think everybody but you is in Fartown.
Okay. Um, then yeah, like a park that has little delicately crafted origami creatures that populate. Little origami swans floating in the pond, pecking at bread that people are throwing into the pond for them, and little origami squirrels and chipmunks and stuff like that. And at night, maybe sort of a darker underbelly when some illicit emotion leaf trade happens.
I like that. And the origami chipmunks, when they feed on nuts, their paper puffs out like in their cheeks.
Hmm.
All right, so that's one. What else do we got?
I'm thinking maybe a museum.
Okay, what kind of a museum?
Unexploded ordnance.
An unexploded ordnance museum.
Guns and bombs. And a couple of dehexed hexes.
Can it have a little gift shop in the back?
Sure.
Their main cell in the gift shop. I'll wait till you have the first part written down. I would just want to tack on to the museum.
Go ahead.
Their main cell are pet snails with bombs for shells.
That's amazing.
Okay. Anybody want to do a third one?
Well, I think if there's a museum and a theater, or what used to be a theater, there should also be like an art gallery, uh, maybe that only has um, unfinished painting.
Yeah, I like that. What if instead of unfinished paintings, it's like paintings that were collected from the dreams of people? Like paintings that people did in their dreams, and that,
Oh, that they painted in their sleep.
yeah,
That's
while they
amazing.
were like people like you can go in and like plumb the deeps of sleep and pilfer the left behind paintings of dreamers before they're completely forgotten.
Probably made a buck there a couple of times.
Guys, I'm loving this stuff. This is great. Chris, your neighborhood, or yeah, the entirety of Saturnine, I guess. Maybe around Advancing College. I don't know.
Sorry about that. It looks. There we go. I've got one. Ed's extremely inconvenient diner.
And what now?
Ed's extremely inconvenient diner.
Okay, tell me about Ed's extremely inconvenient diner.
It is a common Vance haunt. Every day they change what currency they charge. They charge in like weird currencies. They don't have a menu, and you have to pay an exact change.
Remind me never to go there.
Vances love it.
Well, Vances aren't exactly the sharpest knives in the drawer either.
That is excellent.
All right, so we've got Ed's extremely inconvenient diner. What else do we have around Advancing College?
A club filled with apostates.
Thumbing the nose at the man.
Yes,
Heretic.
a club filled with apostates. They drink and socialize and chatter about spells and think like a massive fraternity.
Can it be called the Awful Grotto?
Yes.
Yes. Awful Grotto.
Teamwork, everybody.
That's two. Want to do a third?
A puka statue.
Puka statue?
Yes, a puka statue. And you have no idea what I'm talking about, do you?
No clue.
All right, so let me give you a history/mythology lesson. Once upon a time, there was these ghost horses called pukas, and it was believed that pukas were tethered to specific statues close to waterways. And if you used the right command word, it would bring the statue to life. However, the downside of using this right command word to bring the statue to life, the puka would drag you into the water and drown you and eat you.
How do you spell that?
Pooka. Yes, it's amazing what you discover when you start hunting strange mythology.
I need to be right back fast if that's okay.
Go for it. Jeff, you're up.
In my neighborhood. How about a restaurant? It's called For a Song, and it's kind of like a soup kitchen. Like poor folks can come in and get food pretty much any day of the week. They can get a free meal. It's among the best restaurants in all of Saturnine. There is a list, a reservation list, just like 2 years out for anyone who's well-to-do, who wants to come. So all the wealthy and noble people in Saturnine have to wait and wait and wait to get their reservation, but poor folks just come and get a meal in the soup kitchen line, and when they do, they pay for it by singing a song. And as soon as they sing the song, that that song, that performance is captured, and that's what the chef uses to season the food, and that's why it is so good.
Oh, that's interesting. I like that.
And rich people are constantly trying to like sneak into the line to get the food because they don't want to wait for a reservation, but they are frequently found out and put on the do not serve list.
So we have a soup Nazi there. No soup for you.
Yes,
5 years.
absolutely.
Awesome.
Mhm. And it's yeah, and it's just like this kind of dumpy little area near where Albion lives at the edge of the fade where stuff is just like breaking off into the abstraction.
So like because we talked about that area as the Hendasa's kind of dumping ground, is this restaurant like I don't know, 2 or 3 buses welded together with the sides cut out, and you enter in through, one of those folding doors or something? Or is this an
Train
actual
cars.
building? Or
Maybe it's like an airstream.
This is where
Bigger
you see
on the
train
inside,
cars,
though.
like, uh, they're all like there are diners and stuff, especially like in Massachusetts
Yeah.
and stuff that are like made out of train cars. It's kind of fun, but that's more of a diner thing.
well, I mean, you could
Yeah.
you could do that. You look and
Yeah,
think, okay,
absolutely.
well, if it's
Trains are
just a
great
single
too.
train car and you took out all but 2 or 3 of the tables, that suggests why you have to wait 2 or 3 years to actually get a table. But if the line just goes past whatever the barkeep, that counter that they normally had in those dining cars, and the poor people could walk through, that wouldn't be a bad idea. I could see that.
Yeah. Yeah, train cars sound great.
All right, that's one.
Well, since we're talking about this being on the fade, I'm kind of picturing the the Final Destination roller coaster in one corner, but kind of faded, like it's both there and not there, like that scene from the Dark Stephen King's Dark Tower, where he's running around and then you see that roller coaster that's just appearing out of the mists.
Yeah. So like kind of a carnival attraction roller coaster or something like that, that you could almost ride. Can you ride it? I mean,
It's not a question of can you ride it, it's a question of will you survive riding it? And only if you're very, very lucky.
I wonder if you get something if you actually ride it and survive, or something like a secret or something. Yeah.
Ooh, what if it's like a carnival that came through from Shadow, and now all of the carnies are like secretly demons of the dark?
So my people.
That would be spooky.
That's kind of creepy. I like that.
Haunted carnival,
But if a clown shows
carnival
up,
of the
Onyx
damned.
Carnival. Yes.
but if a clown shows up with honking shoes, I'm blowing his head off, okay? I have enough Left for Dead to know where that's going. Yes, one of the adventures that you go through on the Left for Dead zombie game is where you have to go through a carnival. And if the clown with the honking shoes gets close enough, it attracts a horde, and that's just a pain in the butt.
All right, so we have a soup kitchen crane car, a haunted carnival from the shadow, where the carnies are now demons of the dark. We have a third one.
What about a fountain of despair, where if you go to the fountain and you drink from it, you feel overwhelming despair for a short amount of time, and then can no longer feel that emotion for at least a week.
So kind of a get it all out right here, right now, so that you don't have to deal with it later, or
Yeah, you're just
This
incapable
fountain.
of being sad for like a week.
but you're really desperately sad all at once for a short time.
Mhm.
Cool. Okay. Local issues. So we talked about Jeff. Let's go in reverse just because you already had one. We talked a little about ants, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. What was it that people are going missing, and it's rumored that a collective of ants is hijacking the people and yeah, hijacking the people and pulling them away. Nobody ever sees them again. What's happening?
Yes, and known as the anthropophagi. Anthropophagi is a word from Shakespeare's The Tempest and like other early middle or old Middle English words for like human eater, cannibal sort of.
Mm.
But then you add a T, so it's ant. Because I'm a nerd.
You know what? You keep being nerdy like that. That's pretty cool. Okay. Any other issues in that area that we can think of, or do we just want to start with the one?
Oh, that's the that's where the Final Destination roller coaster is, right?
Yep.
There is a group of Visley soccer moms trying to ban the carnival.
Yes.
Because it is
Friend
too
collective.
dangerous.
As long as they don't drive up in minivans. Of
You
course,
know they're
now,
driving up in minivans.
no. I mean, like the shoes, right? They're driving up in shoes, the vans.
In miniature vans.
So is this like Mad Sea, Mothers Against Demon Carnivals?
Yeah.
Demons are not bad; they're just misunderstood.
They're not bad. They're just drawn that way. Okay, so Vance soccer moms trying to ban carnival and a collective of ants eating people. Awesome. Chris, what's going on near the Vance College that is an issue? Positive or negative, guys?
Hmm. It's finals week.
There is a newspaper that is being printed and released that periodically turns everyone around it plaid. If you touch it, you go plaid.
Okay.
Ooh, what if there's like an administrator at the Vancian college, at the Vancian campus, who's new and who has started having uh, sort of events like at a breakneck pace instead of every few weeks having some sort of event. It's like there's constantly an event and people around the Vancian campus are getting sick of it because it's just constant traffic, constant clutter.
Well, not only that, think about organizing those events, right? I mean, you'd have
Mhm.
a group of people that probably do that for a living, or maybe work with the college in that capacity, and to go from one every 3 or 4 weeks to like two a day. Can you imagine the amount of
Mhm.
stress that would add?
Oh yeah. I would assume that the administrator is a warp master, warps time and space, and it's just always going. Type A warp master, just stressing everybody out.
To him, it's every few weeks,
Yeah.
but to us, it's every day.
Did we just snake Doctor Who into the Invisible Sun?
They started it. It's a whole forte.
It sure sounds like it, actually. I like it. I
I
like
play
it.
a character that is a warp master, and yeah, one of the abilities is you just like go into this separate place, and like you and 9 other people can just like plan stuff out and take care of stuff that isn't like gonna affect the outside world for however much time. And yeah, it's wild.
All right. Let's look around the theater. What's going on there?
Gentrification is what's going on there. There are developers that are like, this old opera house needs to go because we could build condominiums, we could build tall and skinnies. This one opera house could house 400 extremely wealthy Visley, and we could be making a mint. And they just need the gerent to sign off on eminent domain, and and let them purchase it from Fartown. It's maybe you're fighting for your life there. Like, this is my house. Stop trying to tear it down.
That's kind of cool. I like that. What
That
else is
has to
going on?
happen. And also, Jeff, you stole my idea, so I don't have one now.
Oh no.
Guys, this is an absolutely creepy game. Not only will you see that with the Sooth deck that inherently produces exactly what is needed at the right time or the wrong time, um, but people steal each other's ideas and thoughts, and reach through the ether of the internet and pull it out of other people's brains. It's kind of weird. Um, so that's one. Let's come up with one more. What else is going on around the Opera House?
Streakers.
Streakers. Oh,
Oh,
this
this
ought to
What
be
does
good.
Yes.
streaking look like in Saturnine, though? That's the question.
Uh,
What if it's Elderbrand streakers? What would that even look like? Shapeshifters
Lacuna.
streaking.
Elderbrand streakers that literally like leave massive streaks on the ground behind them. They're like
In
pulling the earth with
multicolors.
them.
In
No, it's
multiple
like they're
colors.
stretching out the earth underneath them as they run.
Okay, I'll do that.
Which does not help with the demolition crew at all, because periodically they'll get bored and run over and through the machines that they want to use to tear down the opera house. Because they like the opera house for some unknown reason.
And last but not least, the unexploded bomb.
Yeah. Somebody else go first.
Heavy or increased thaw activity lately. Because for some reason, they expect that after all this time, this ordinance is gonna go off.
Oh
They
yeah,
have
maybe
this
the
thought planted
gerent.
into their head.
Yeah, maybe the gerent is convinced that your unexploded ordnance is still active in spite of your protests, and is trying to have it removed from the building
Okay, I
for
like that.
public safety.
But
Isn't
I
the
love it.
ordinance the building?
It's stuck in a
Well,
building.
Oh, okay.
yeah, the ordnance is stuck inside of in the side of a wall.
Okay, and another one.
Is it the wall of a building or like the wall of the outside of Satterine / Fartown?
Uh, I was thinking of it as a huge wall at the very edge of Fartown.
Hmm.
An increased presence of spiders creeping
There are
in
like, oh yeah, there should definitely be spiders.
around the edges of because the ordnance is in the wall and it's cracked the concrete and cracked the bricks, and occasionally spiders can creep through those little bitty cracks. Because spiders are freaky, man.
I love spiders and Invisible Sun.
Yeah.
In Invisible Sun. I'm glad you clarified that.
Well, have you ever
I
seen
think they're
the hunt?
wonderful regardless, but
I watched a video the other day. I'm getting slightly off track, but I watched a video the other day. But a hunter spider managed to creep under a door, and it was a really big spider and a little tiny crack, and crept under the door. And it's like, yeah, we're noping. We're not going to Australia. Nah, I'm good.
mhm,
All
they're
right, so that
terrifying.
covers local issues. So neighbors, nearby points of interest, and local issues. Let's take a look at this here. Kelton, you have Jude Starling, a former Vance, now apostate stand-up comic, a bad stand-up comic. That is going to be your neighbor and potentially your friend at some point, or maybe part of your act, or you're part of his act, or I don't know, maybe I don't know. We'll call that one I don't know, positive or neutral. What do you think?
I think
That's
it's kind of
positive.
neutral.
That's positive.
Positive, yeah.
I think that we're pretty tight. I like this guy. I think there's like the tip of the bomb like broke through his wall a little bit. So like in his living room, there's like a hole in the wall with a piece of bomb coming through. And I think we're friends.
All right. So we got one positive, Virginia the Talking Gossip Vine. That's probably negative
That's
because
a negative.
you're not receiving the secrets, somebody else is.
Mhm.
We have a bookstore that's a store of books owned by A. Wolf. I'm going to call that one neutral because we don't know much about A. Wolf yet. An arboretum that sells vines to get gossip, that's going to be negative. And a music shop that sells negative instruments. I'll probably call that one neutral as well.
Neutral.
Yeah. Then we have increased thaw activity and increased presence of spiders at cracks. Thaw's negative. The spiders are probably neutral at this point. So overall, you're looking negative. I think that's going to give you a despair. Then Joanne, you've got Puccino, the pigman maker that makes big metal items and is extremely loud and pisses off your ghosts. That's almost certainly negative. As is Wesley, the shabby tweed suit Ghostbuster with the black kerchief on his head. You've got an origami creature-filled park that at night has illicit emotion leaf trade. That's probably negative for the emotion leaf trade. Unexploded Ordnance Museum with gift shop with the main shells. That's probably neutral. The art gallery with paintings completed in dreams. That's actually probably positive, because of the rarity of it. I think that probably brings in some good business for your neighborhood. And then we developed, or we've got developers trying to get rid of the Opera House and buy out the Gerent so that they can demolish it. That's definitely negative. And then we've got the Elderbrand Streakers that seem to want to try and stop it by leaving multicolored streaks and warping things as they walk through the neighborhood. That's probably positive for you. But overall, I think that's also kind of a net negative. And so you also get a despair. Chris, you're up. You've got Yality, the wrong cat that only you knows about and isn't supposed to be at the Vancian College, but tells you where things are. That's probably a net positive for you,
Definitely positive.
or at worst a neutral, just because if you get found out, that might be a problem. And then there's Newly, the grandmother Vance who helps underdogs. That's definitely a positive. You've got Ed's extremely inconvenient diner. Um, if Vance is like that, that's probably also positive since you're a Vance. A popular club for apostates named the Awful Grotto. That's definitely a negative for you. And a Puka statue. That's probably neutral unless you decide to wake it up, and then it's probably a negative for you because nobody likes getting drowned. We have a newspaper that turns everybody plaid. That's probably, I don't know,
Negative?
neutral or negative. Negative. We'll call it negative. And then a new administrator that warps time and stresses everybody else. That's probably negative as well. So I'm thinking a net negative for a despair for you.
It looks like a net neutral.
Is it net neutral?
Yeah.
Awesome. So you don't get anything. Haha.
Nice.
Then we have Jeff. Jeff's got Oscar Wilde, the upside down Zeppelin that's only reachable by magic. That's probably neutral.
Pretty
Mugsy
neutral.
Mugsy Stallone, the dude that wants to shoot everybody, 1930s, 40s gangster. He is going to be negative.
I think honestly, Albion
But
is really excited about having this interesting, colorful friend next door.
but yeah, with you actually not being one of his targets, that kind of shifts that neutral, doesn't it? For a song restaurant, I think is absolutely positive. The haunted carnival is probably negative.
Yeah,
And the fountain of despair, I'd have to call that one neutral.
I think he's probably pretty excited. When I heard that one, I was like, for a maker alchemist, that sounds like like just a wealth of ingredients.
Now
So
that you mention it like that, I can see that being a positive. I'll go with that. I'll go
that
with that.
actually really excited me.
Then we've got a collective of ants that's eating people. That's probably negative. That's almost
Yeah,
certainly negative. Then we've got Visley soccer moms. How do you feel about them banning your carnival?
pretty good.
So they're on your side. You've got a positive there. So we've got let's see, positive, neutral, negative, positive, positive. I think you're going to get a joy, is what it looks like. You've got three positives, two neutral, and two negatives, it looks. All right. Now we're coming to the end here. We've got PC Bonds. So let's talk about how you guys are connected. Um, Everybody needs to pick a PC bond. Yeah, I believe it's one PC bond. You can develop a bond later as if you choose to take that character arc. Obviously, that's going to cost acumen later, but this is just something to get started so that the group itself is tied together. So let's. Who'd like to go first? We'll ask this time.
Well, I have at least one idea already, so
Okay.
it's too easy to make a connection between Billy and Claire because there's that museum that sells the dream paintings, which is one of the ways that I probably make money. And so it would make sense that we had would have crossed paths. Um, so I don't know where we want to go with that, but it's like embedded already. So
Yeah, I like that.
I've been in the neighborhood for sure.
Yeah, and maybe, you come to the theater since you do dreams and stuff. Maybe you come to the theater and you help some of the ghosts actually know how to act by describing stuff from your dreams from them.
That's hilarious.
Okay, so I see that as either close friends or fated companions. Um, which one sounds better? Close friends. The two characters are close friends and have been for some time. They're familiar with each other's homes, general abilities, personalities, and backgrounds. And fated companions, while not friends, those two characters always seem to be crossing paths. They frequently turn up the same places at the same time. Perhaps there's a reason for this that will become clear later. So how close do you guys want to be?
Uh, it's hard to decide. I think that we're kind of the two roguish characters in a lot of ways, so it might make sense for us to be friends. But I like the idea that we just keep bumping into each other.
Yeah, I'm digging
That's the vibe I got.
the whole
Yeah,
fated companions. Not so much that we're friends or frenemies, but we're just like, you again. Hey, it's been a while.
yeah, it just keeps happening. I think that's great.
Okay. So the benefit to that, at some point in the narrative, fate intervenes. Each character has all their pools refreshed and injuries, wounds, and anguishes healed, and both succeed on their next action, regardless of what it is. Both characters must agree as to when this happens, and have it fit in their background story. And usually, once the characters use this benefit, the bond is basically done. So be thinking about that. Chris, we have two fated companions. What do you think?
I am not sure. Something I'm considering maybe is being a friend from the past with uh Jeff's character.
Okay,
I
tell
was
me how that
thinking the same
works.
thing.
Uh I'm honestly not sure. It's just a thought that crossed my mind that kind of fits. Maybe I passed by before we went to Shadow. Maybe I passed by the train at some point with um with the Brotherhood, and we
Oh,
just
the
got
the
really
diner,
interested.
the for a song.
Yeah, maybe we all met up
Um,
there.
he was before the war. He was a very like serious-minded, very dedicated um, maker, dealing mostly in like creating weapons for the war. Um, Maybe he worked closely with the Vance College in the war effort and knew you from then.
That could work. Yeah,
So
that
you
might
could
work.
you could look at that. The other thing that jumps out at me is Shadow Friends. So you had said that you were an engineer with a C-39, and he was a mathematician. Perhaps he was your mathematics professor in Shadow.
Were you a mathematics professor before World War II?
That's not quite where I saw myself being that early
Yeah.
in time.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Maybe I could have been this like weird guy who had really advanced concepts that no one had any idea of then. So it just sounded like I was talking nonsense for most of the class.
What if we're just old friends? I like old friends.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we can
I,
that
I'm
sounds
we
like
can
good.
hammer out how we're friends from before the war.
So
I
friends
think
from the
that
past.
yeah, I like friends from the past.
Hold on, I'll
that
be
would
right back.
mean that we need to figure out what level 1 connection that we have to a group together would be.
You could grab a connection to the Brotherhood of the Infinite Rose, perhaps.
Well, we each get 1 level in connection to the group. So
True, I just don't see. I'm not sure what other organization we might both be connected with.
could you see your character being interested in the Cadedron? They're
The
an
what?
organization that's focused, the Cadedron, something Cahdedron. They are concerned with the truth and uncovering mysteries of the actuality, which sounds like it's sort of in line with the Brotherhood uh, of the Infinite Rose as well. They are in the path, page 1 something. Oh
I
yeah,
could see that
page
working out. Yeah.
112.
I
Perhaps
can see
before
that working
war.
out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like before the
We can.
war, we met at like
We
one of
were.
those conventions, and I saw how serious you were about your work, or noticed, and we ended up talking, got you a contract with the Vancian College, and we became friends through that effort.
Sure.
That sounds good. So we have the two of you as friends from the past, and the other two are fated companions. That just leaves the Desideratum. Now, for those that don't know, that is a group, kind of a group arc, not exactly a character arc because it doesn't progress with story, but it's a motivation for this group to do things together. And that can come in any one of 6 forms. Money, the group needs money and is interested in work or a scheme that will earn them a substantial amount. Power, the group recognizes that to achieve its goals, everyone must become more magically adept or get their hands on some kind of magical aid. Information, the group needs information. They seek answers, ideas, or just knowledge to start off their story. Allies, the group needs the assistance of others more powerful than themselves. Travel, the group needs to go somewhere to get what they want. and altruism. The group needs to help someone. This could be general, we're looking to help those in need, or more likely they have a specific person or group in mind to help. So why don't you guys talk a little bit amongst yourselves about what you think motivates you to work together and how that kind of gives this foursome a thrust.
That's a tough one. All this talk of pre-war stuff has reminded me of something that I forgot to say. This is random, but it's going to inform this conversation a little bit, I think. Billy doesn't remember anything before Shadow at all. He's just got Shadow and now. And so that's why his focus would end up being information or something like that, because he's trying to figure out why his story is different, why he doesn't remember things, so none of the other ones really apply to his motivations.
Yeah, information works really well for Albion as well.
That's sort
Otherwise, probably altruism would be good for Albion, but I'm not sure that would apply to some of the folks in the party.
Okay. So it sounds like 2 votes for information.
Sterling would be looking for different information, but he'd be willing to help with that mystery.
Kind of a you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Yeah, especially since we're devoted to finding out the truth. There's no reason to not
Yeah.
help.
That makes sense.
Well, and I do have access to an awesome library that a lot of people don't even know about.
Claire, do you by chance have information that you're looking for?
Well, to bring back the life of the theater, I'd have to have information to discover where the plays were hidden.
Okay. So different kind of
Okay.
information. So we're looking for information, I think. That makes sense. A
We're
lot of
hunting for secrets.
a lot of it seems like it's mundane information, but I wonder if it's not kind of a combination of information and power, right? So in order to gain access to the information that each of you wants, you need to spend time gaining power or secrets or spells or whatever to access whatever cache or something that has the information that you're seeking. So
That is 100% true for Billy. Now that you say it, I didn't think of it before, because he needs to advance in his forte to get better at accessing the whole deeps of sleep dream thing, which is where he's probably going to find his answers.
all right, I will get some things written down about that and that ready for, I think, 2 weeks from now. It is 5:40, and I think we've got what appears to be the beginnings of a group, guys. So I'm kind of excited about this. There's some really cool characters and locations and maybe some problems that you guys can solve and hopefully things that you guys can do in character that are going to reveal a little bit about who you are and what you're about. And that's really what Invisible Sun is uh, does to shine among role playing games, and really what this particular campaign is going to be about is digging in deep and figuring out what drives these guys. So I think that's probably where we'll stop. Go ahead and in the next couple weeks, let's outfit our houses a little bit. Spend some of that hard-earned orbs, and buy some things for your houses, buy some things for yourselves, tools, weapons, any armor, any furnishings, any whatever. And yeah, I think we'll see everybody in 2 weeks, and we'll get started on this campaign. So yeah, let's as we finish here. Do you have any other questions or things that you want to bring up about your characters in front of everybody else before we get started?
I will be avoiding as much combat as humanly possible and will not be contributing lethal objects of power to the mix. When I make things, they will not be lethal. They will be helpful, ideally, but not lethal.
Interesting. Okay.
So he is Albion is friendly and loves making new acquaintances and does not have any interest in hurting people. But also wants to stop people from hurting people when that comes up. So, he'll certainly contribute, just not really in a direct damage sort of way.
That makes sense.
So he will not be buying any weapons in particular. And
That works. Anybody else?
Man, I think we covered it for Billy. Not much of a fighter either.
Okay.
I think we have a very fighty group.
So I need to throw a lot of combat at you guys. Okay, I got it. No. just
Yes,
kidding.
I think that's going to be the focus of this
Yeah,
particular
we're
campaign.
gonna do a dungeon crawl for the first session.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
man.
Yeah,
Only if
I
I can
guess the
summon
mathematician is our melee fighter. I don't know.
I mean, I'm probably the most aggressive out of all of us, I'd imagine, but not out of a want to be angry. It's just like incidentally.
A lot of damagey spells from the Vancian
That too.
repertoire.
Yeah, there are.
Between the sessions, I will also distribute your ephemera.
Oh, cool.
I need to get those. I need to finish getting those cut out, so that I can send those electronically. But there's a lot of cards in that deck. I'll tell you. Doing that electronically is obscene. But we're almost done. So we'll get that done, and we'll be ready for 2 weeks from now. So if there's nothing else, I want to thank everybody that joined us today. We really appreciate the support. We appreciate you coming out tonight. If you've got time, we'd love to have you back at 8:00 Eastern. We're gonna have a fireside chat, and Joanne and I are gonna talk advice for GMs. And if you bring questions and you want to get those answered and get our take on things, we'd love to answer your questions first. Some stuff we could talk about, but we want to answer your questions before anything else, because that's really what this session's going to be. Is a question and answer type fireside chat. So that'll happen every Sunday at 8:00. This is every other Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And if you just can't wait 2 more weeks for more Invisible Sun, head on over to Manapot Studios on Twitch next Sunday at 4:30 Eastern for The Hole in the World, another amazing Invisible Sun live play with a great cast of players and characters led by GM Zach Norton. I'm there as often as I can be anyway. And then we'll see you right back here in 2 Sundays as our Vislay continue to seek their soul's direction. Thanks. Have a great day.